Have you ever wondered the story of a woman whose darkest moment became the greatest display of mercy? The streets of Jerusalem were coming alive. And in the temple courts, hundreds gathered to hear Jesus teach. His words brought hope. His presence brought peace. But suddenly, the peace was shattered. A loud commotion echoed through the streets.
Bring her along! She must pay for her sin!
No, please, let me go!
The crowd stepped aside. Some watched in shock. Others whispered among themselves. No one dared to stop them. The woman stumbled. She could barely keep her balance. Every step felt heavier than the last. Then, they threw her into the center of the temple courtyard, right before Jesus. The religious leaders stood proudly. Their faces showed no compassion, only accusation, only judgment, only confidence. Then one of them spoke.
The woman was caught in the act. The law of Moses commands us to stone her. Yes, she must pay for her sin.
Everyone knew what usually happened next according to law of Moses. Stones, judgment to death. Her hands trembled. Her tears soaked the dusty ground beneath her. Around her, men tightened their grip on heavy stones preparing to throw.
She must answer for this!
The religious leaders had another plan. Could they trap Jesus? If he chose mercy, would they accuse him of rejecting the law? If he chose judgment, would the people still believe he was full of compassion? It seemed impossible. Every eye turned toward Jesus. What would he say? Would he condemn her? Or would he do something no one expected? But instead of answering, Jesus slowly looked down. He knelt and began writing in the dust. The crowd stared in confusion. What was he writing? No one knew. The silence became almost unbearable. The people murmured while Jesus was writing. The religious leaders grew impatient. They demanded an answer again.
What do you say?
And again.
Answer us now!
But Jesus remained calm, still writing, still silent. Then, he slowly stood. The entire courtyard froze. Even the wind seemed to stop. What he was about to say would change everything.
Whoever belongs to God hears what God says.
One by one, the stones fell, not because the woman had proven herself innocent, but because every accuser was reminded of one simple truth. No one standing there was without sin. The oldest men turned away first, then another, and another. The voices that once demanded her death faded into silence. The crowd that had come ready to condemn walked away carrying the weight of their own hearts instead. Soon, only scattered stones remained on the temple floor. The woman slowly lifted her head. She looked around in disbelief. The men who had surrounded her were gone. The hands that had gripped the stones had disappeared. The voices of accusation had fallen silent. For the first time that morning, she was no longer surrounded by judgment. She was standing in the presence of mercy. Only Jesus remained, not with a stone in his hand, but with compassion in his eyes. The same courtyard that moments before echoed with condemnation now stood completely still.